Sometimes the moment that breaks you is the moment that wakes you. There are times in life when everything feels heavy, changes you didn't expect, endings you didn't want, and lessons you never asked for. And yet, if you sit quietly for just a moment, you can feel something deeper beneath the chaos. A gentle pull, a soft awareness, a sense that life has been guiding you, even through the parts that hurt. Maybe the challenge wasn't there to punish you, but to show you what needed to be healed. Maybe the delay wasn't failure, but protection. Maybe the ending wasn't loss, but redirection. When you pause, breathe, and look inward, you begin to see a pattern, your own inner map, hidden beneath every experience you've lived through. The truth becomes clearer. Nothing is random. Every experience is a teacher. Every emotion is a compass. Every setback holds a message about who you are becoming. For the next few hours, you'll discover why Buddhism teaches that everything, absolutely everything, happens for a reason. Your journey begins now. Today, we'll explore that quiet wisdom. You open your eyes at dawn in a small mountain monastery nestled among misty peaks. The air is crisp, fragrant, with pine and incense. You've traveled far to learn why your life seems filled with challenges that feel meaningless. Today, an elder monk has agreed to share ancient wisdom with you. As you sit on a worn meditation cushion, the monk smiles gently. You seek to understand why suffering finds you, he says, his voice as calm as still water. What if I told you that in Buddhism, nothing happens by chance? The wooden floors crack beneath you as you shift, trying to get comfortable. Like you, they too are subject to the law of impermanence. You notice how your breath creates small clouds in the cool morning air, appearing, then vanishing. Just as everything in your life does, you think about the river you crossed to reach this place, how it never remains the same water from one moment to the next, yet the river itself continues. The monk notices your gaze wandering toward the window. Your thoughts are like that river, he tells you, always flowing, never the same. This is an impermanence, one of the fundamental truths of existence. Your mind drifts to memories that haunt you, opportunities lost, relationships ended, paths not taken. The weight of them sits heavy on your shoulders. The monk seems to read your thoughts. You are creating karma with every breath, he explains, as sunlight begins to warm the room. Each action, thought, and word generates consequences that ripple outward, just as when you disturbed the surface of the river this morning. You remember the small stone you tossed into the water, how the rings expanded outward, touching everything in their path. Perhaps your life works the same music way. The morning light strengthens, illuminating dust particles dancing in the air between you and the monk. His weathered face shows lines of both suffering and joy. Perhaps they are not so different after all. Tell me, he says, what troubles your heart most deeply? What has brought you across mountains to seek answers? You hesitate, organizing your thoughts. Life seems random, you finally reply. I try to live well, to make good choices, yet suffering still finds me. Others who seem careless or even cruel appear to prosper. Where is the justice in this? Where is the meaning? The monk nods slowly, as if he's heard this question 1,000 times. Perhaps he has. This apparent contradiction troubles many. He acknowledges it's natural to seek patterns, to want fairness, to look for meaning in what happens to us. When life seems chaotic or unjust, we feel lost. He rises smoothly, despite his age, and gestures for you to follow. Walk with me. Some teachings are better understood in motion. You follow him through sliding paper doors into a corridor of polished wood. Morning sunlight streams through high windows, creating patterns of light and shadow that shift as you walk. Other monks pass silently, each focused on their morning tasks, yet somehow aware of everything around them. Buddhism teaches that we live in a universe governed by natural laws. The monk explains as you walk. Just as there are physical laws like gravity that operate whether we understand them or not, there are moral and spiritual laws that govern our experiences. The corridor opens onto a small courtyard garden where stone pathways wind between carefully tended plants, miniature trees, and arrangements of rock and sand. A small stream flows through the center, its soft gurgling, creating a gentle soundtrack to your conversation. The most fundamental of these laws is karma, the law of cause and effect. The monk continues, leading you along a stone path. Every action creates an effect. Every cause leads to consequences. Nothing happens without reason. You've heard of karma before, but often misunderstood as some cosmic system of rewards and punishments. Is karma like fate, then you ask? Are our lives predetermined? The monk shakes his head, stopping beside the stream. He kneels and invites you to do the same. Taking a small pebble, he drops it into the still pool formed where the stream widens. Perfect circles ripple outward from the point of impact. Karma is not fate, he explains. It is the natural law of cause and effect. The pebble creates ripples not because the water is punishing or rewarding it, but because this is the natural consequence of the action. Our choices create ripples in the same way. He takes your hand and places another small stone in your palm. Drop this into the water and try to create square ripples instead of circular ones. You smile at the impossible request, but drop the stone anyway. Circular ripples spread across the water's surface just as before. You cannot change the law that governs how water responds. The monk says, similarly, we cannot change the law that our actions have consequences. But unlike the stone which has no choice about falling, we can choose which actions to take. This choice is our freedom. The concept begins to take shape in your mind, not a deterministic fate controlling your life, but a complex web of causes and effects, many set in motion by your own choices. If karma is real, you ask, why don't we see immediate consequences for actions? Why do good people suffer while harmful people sometimes prosper? The monk rises again and leads you further along the path. Karma does not always ripen immediately, he explains. Some seeds sprout quickly, others take seasons to bear fruit. The web of causes and conditions is vast and complex, stretching across time in ways our limited perspective cannot fully perceive. You pass a garden section where young monks are carefully transplanting seedlings. Their hands move with deliberate gentleness, aware that how they treat these young plants now will affect their growth for seasons to come. Like these gardeners, the monk continues, we are constantly planting seeds through our actions, speech, and even our thoughts. Some will bear fruit quickly. Others may take years or even lifetimes to mature, but nothing is lost in the cosmic accounting. This perspective shifts something in your understanding. Perhaps life's apparent randomness is simply the result of causes too distant or complex for you to trace with your limited view. Think of karma as planting in a garden where some plants mature in days, others in seasons, and some over many years. The monk explains, a gardener who plants many varieties might be surprised by what emerges each day. Yet nothing grows that wasn't music planted. The path leads to a small meditation pavilion overlooking the valley below. The monastery perches on the mountainside like a bird's nest, offering breathtaking views of the lands beyond. You sit together on a simple wooden bench, the world spread out at your feet. From here we can see far, the monk observes. Villages, fields, rivers, forests, all connected in a living system. Yet even this expanded view is limited. We cannot see beyond the horizon or into the heart of the mountain. Our perspective on life is similarly limited. A cool mountain breeze carries the scent of pine and distant rain. You breathe deeply, feeling something begin to unwind inside you. A tension perhaps carried so long you'd forgotten it was there. From our limited vantage point, the monk continues, life often seems random or unfair. We see a fragment of the pattern and mistake it for the whole. We experience an effect without recognizing its cause, or plant a cause without living to see its effect. Birds soar in the valley below, riding invisible currents with effortless grace. They neither fight against the wind nor try to control it. They simply understand its nature and work with it. Buddhist teachings invite us to expand our perspective. The monk says to recognize that our individual life is part of a vast interconnected web of causes and conditions stretch far beyond what we can perceive. Nothing happens in isolation. Everything is connected. You watch clouds casting moving shadows across the valley floor. A perfect visual metaphor for how conditions constantly change. This understanding does not remove life's challenges. The monk acknowledges, but it transforms how we experience them. Instead of seeing difficulties as random punishments or meaningless suffering, we recognize them as the natural unfolding of causes and conditions, many set in motion by our own past choices. A memory surfaces. A relationship that ended painfully after you ignored early warning signs. At the time, the breakup felt like cruel fate. Now you can recognize the chain of causes and effects that led naturally to that outcome. When we understand karma, the monk says, watching your realization, we stop seeing ourselves as victims of random fate and recognize our role in creating our experiences. This is not about blame, but about empowerment. If we have helped create our present circumstances through past choices, we can create different future circumstances through present choices. The liberation in this perspective dawns on you. Life's challenges are not meaningless punishment, but the natural consequences of causes. And if you can understand these causes, you can plant different seeds for the future. Everything happens for a reason. The monk reiterates, not because some divine plan dictates it, but because the universe operates through this elegant law of cause and effect. Nothing is random, nothing is wasted. Every experience carries meaning and purpose if we have eyes to see it. Music. As midday approaches, the monastery bell rings, its clear tone resonating through the mountain air. The sound seems to both emerge from and return to silence, a beautiful demonstration of the principle being discussed. That bell signals our midday meal, the monk explains. Come, let's join the others. Eating mindfully is another opportunity to understand these teachings through direct experience. You walk together down stone steps leading back to the main monastery buildings. Monks gather from various areas, gardens, workshops, meditation halls, converging on the simple dining hall with unhurried purpose. Inside, low tables are arranged in neat rows. Monks sit on cushions before simple settings, a bowl, a cup, chopsticks wrapped in cloth. You're guided to a place along one wall where you can observe the ritual about to unfold. Once all are seated, a palpable silence falls. No one reaches for food, though steam rises temptingly from pots at the center of each table. The head monk recites a brief chant which the others join, voices blending in practiced harmony. This chant expresses gratitude. Your teacher explains quietly when it concludes. Gratitude for the food, for those who grew it, transported it, prepared it, and serve it. Recognizing the vast web of causes and conditions that brings even this simple meal to us. Only then does the serving begin an orderly, mindful process. Each person receives the same modest portions in their bowl. No one begins eating until all are served. Before we eat, the monk instructs you, look deeply at your food. Consider its journey, the seed that grew with the help of sun and rain, the farmer who tended and harvested it, the many hands that brought it here. See the entire universe in your bowl. You look at your simple meal with new eyes. Rice, vegetables, a small portion of tofu. Indeed, when you consider everything required to create this food and bring it before you, it becomes extraordinary. Sunlight transformed through photosynthesis into nourishment. Rain that fell because of complex weather patterns. Countless beings whose work contributed to this moment. Now eat with full awareness, the monk suggests. Notice the texture, temperature, and flavor of each bite. Chew slowly, experiencing the food completely. This is mindfulness, being fully present with what is. The dining hall remains quiet except for the subtle sounds of eating. No conversation, no distraction, just complete presence with the act of nourishment. You try to follow this example, surprised at how different food tastes when given your full attention. Flavors seem more vivid, textures more interesting. Even simple rice becomes complex and satisfying when not eaten on autopilot. This mindful eating, the monk explains, between careful bites, demonstrates another aspect of Buddhist wisdom. When we are fully present, we discover that ordinary experiences contain extraordinary depth. The present moment, fully experienced, is infinitely rich. You notice how different this feels from your usual meals, often eaten quickly while distracted by screens, conversations, or thoughts about past and future. How much richness have you missed by not being present? Many people rush through life never fully experiencing it, the monk observes. They are physically present for countless precious moments, but mentally absent, lost in thoughts about the past or future. Mindfulness brings you back to the only moment that truly exists. Now, as the meal concludes, each person cleans their bowl with a piece of pickled vegetable, then wipes it clean with a cloth. Not a grain of rice is wasted. Even the washing water will be poured into the garden. Everything has purpose in this mindful ecosystem. In mindfulness practice, the monk explains, as you follow these cleaning rituals, we discover that life's meaning isn't hidden in some grand future achievement or past glory. It's found in the depth of our presence with what is happening right now. After the meal, while most monks return to their various duties, your teacher invites you to the meditation hall. Unlike the bustling activity of morning and mealtime, the large hall is nearly empty now, a peaceful space for afternoon practice. Meditation is central to understanding these teachings, the monk explains, as you settle onto cushions facing one another, not as an intellectual exercise, but as direct experience. Sunlight filters through paper windows, creating a soft, diffuse illumination. The hall smells of wood polish and subtle incense. Outside, birds call occasionally, but the primary sensation is one of profound stillness. Proper posture helps calm the mind, he instructs. Sit with your back straight but not rigid like a mountain, dignified and stable. Rest your hands in your lap or on your knees. Lower your gaze or close your eyes if that's more comfortable. You adjust your position following his guidance, surprised at how such simple adjustments create a feeling of alertness combined with ease. Now bring your attention to your breath, he continues, his voice soft yet clear. Not controlling it, just observing the natural rhythm. Feel the sensations of breathing, the air moving through your nostrils, the the rising and falling of your chest and abdomen. You follow these instructions immediately, noticing how difficult it is to keep attention on something so simple. Your mind wants to wander, planning future activities, replaying past conversations, analyzing, judging, daydreaming. The monk seems to read your thoughts. Each time you notice your mind has wandered, gently bring your attention back to your breath. This returning is the practice. Every time you notice distraction and come back, you're strengthening your mindfulness muscle. You practice for several minutes, repeatedly catching your mind wandering and returning to breath awareness. It's humbling to realize how rarely your mind stays where you direct it. The untrained mind is like a wild elephant, the monk explains, powerful but uncontrolled, causing damage even when it means well. Meditation is how we gradually tame this elephant, training it to serve rather than control us. A fly buzzes near your ear, immediately capturing your attention. The monk smiles. Notice how easily distractions pull you away. This is normal. The mind naturally moves toward what's novel or potentially threatening. With practice, you'll develop the ability to acknowledge distractions without being captured by them. You return to your breath now, noticing subtle details. The slight pause between inhale and exhale, the cooling sensation of air entering your nostrils, the warming as it leaves. As concentration deepens, the monk says, after some time, you begin to observe not just the breath, but the nature of experience itself. You notice how sensations, thoughts, and emotions arise, exist for a time, then pass away. Nothing stays fixed. Everything is in constant flux. This observation connects to your earlier discussions about impermanence. You can see it now in your own direct experience. How each breath, each thought, each sensation appears and disappears like waves on the surface of a vast ocean. This direct perception of impermanence, the monk continues, is crucial to understanding why everything happens for a reason. When you see clearly how one thing leads to another in the stream of your own consciousness, you begin to recognize this pattern in all of existence. A thought arises. Perhaps your entire life follows this same pattern of causes and conditions flowing together, creating the present moment that will in turn condition what comes next. Exactly, the monk says again, seeming to read your mind. Your life unfolds according to this same natural law. Each moment arises because of countless causes and conditions coming together. Nothing happens randomly. Everything has a reason, a set of causes that brought it into being. You sit with this understanding, feeling it settle not just as an intellectual concept, but as a felt reality. Your current situation, sitting in this monastery seeking these teachings, didn't happen by chance, but resulted from countless prior choices, experiences, and conditions, all flowing together to create this moment. As you continue meditating, the monk instructs, expand your awareness beyond the breath to include your body, sensations, emotions, thoughts, and eventually the environment around you. Observe how all these aspects of experience arise and pass according to conditions. You practice this wider awareness, noticing the subtle interplay of experience. How a sound triggers a thought, which prompts an emotion which creates a physical sensation, all flowing into one another like tributary streams joining a river. This interconnected flow, the monk explains, is what Buddhists call dependent origination, the understanding that everything arises in dependence on multiple causes and conditions. Nothing exists independently. Nothing happens without reason. As your meditation deepens, time seems to stretch and contract in unusual ways. What might be minutes feels like hours. What might be an hour passes in what seems like moments. This too is part of the teaching, how even our perception of time is conditioned rather than absolute. Eventually, the monk gently brings the session to a close. Enough for now. He says the body needs movement after stillness. Let's walk in the garden and continue our exploration. You rise, noticing stiffness in your legs, but also a peculiar clarity in your mind. Colors seem more vivid, sounds more distinct. The simple act of walking feels new when approached with full awareness. Outside, afternoon sun warms the stone pathways. The monastery gardens are meticulously maintained, not in the controlled, artificial manner of some formal gardens, but in a way that works with nature rather than imposing upon it. These gardens demonstrate another aspect of Buddhist wisdom, the monk explains as you walk. The gardeners don't fight against the natural tendencies of the plants or the conditions of the mountain. They understand these factors and work with them. You pass a twisted pine that has been carefully pruned over decades to accentuate rather than correct its natural inclination to grow sideways from the rocky soil. This is the middle way that Buddhism teaches, he continues, not forcing reality to meet our demands, not passively surrendering to conditions, but skillfully working with what is. The garden path leads to a small pond where lotus flowers float on the surface. Some are fully bloomed in magnificent pink and white displays. Others remain tightly closed buds. Still, others are just beginning to open. The lotus is a perfect symbol for the Buddha's teaching, the monk says, stopping beside the pond. It grows from the mud at the bottom, rises through murky water, and blooms immaculately on the surface. Similarly, our awakening emerges from the very conditions of our ordinary lives, including difficulties and suffering. You watch a dragonfly land delicately on a lotus leaf, creating the slightest dimple in the water's surface, which sends tiny ripples outward. Another demonstration of how all things affect one another. Which brings us to another essential teaching. The monk says the purpose of understanding that everything happens for a reason. He finds a bench nearby where you both sit overlooking the pond. The afternoon light has that golden quality that photographers call the magic hour, casting everything in a warm glow. Many people, when first hearing about karma and cause and effect, become anxious. He explains they worry about past mistakes creating future suffering. They try to control every action, fearful of negative consequences. But this misses the deeper purpose of the teaching. A gentle breeze stirs the surface of the pond, creating dancing patterns of light and shadow. The purpose isn't to make you afraid or to create another burden of perfectionism, the monk continues. It's to empower you with the understanding that you participate in creating your reality, that many aspects of your experience, especially your responses to what happens, remain within your choice. You consider this perspective not karma as cosmic punishment, but as a natural law that, once understood, can be worked with skillfully when difficulties arise. And they will. This understanding helps you respond with greater wisdom. He explains, instead of asking why me or how can I escape this, you can ask, what can I learn from this, and how can I respond in a way that creates more positive conditions moving forward? You think about challenges in your own life and how different they might appear when viewed not as random misfortunes, but as the natural consequences of causes and conditions, many of which you participated in creating. This doesn't mean blaming yourself for suffering. The monk emphasizes noting your thoughtful expression. Self-blame is just another form of ego grasping. Rather, it means recognizing your power to plant different seeds now, creating different future music conditions. A frog jumps from the bank into the pond with a small splash, disappearing beneath the surface. Circles ripple outward from the point of entry, gradually expanding to touch all parts of the pond. See how that small action affects the entire pond. the monk observes. Your actions too create ripples far beyond what you can immediately observe. Understanding this inspires greater mindfulness about the seeds you plant through your choices. Music. As you continue your walk through the monastery grounds, you come upon an elderly monk carefully tending a bonsai tree. His gnarled hands, marked by decades of work, move with surprising delicacy around the miniature pine. He acknowledges your presence with a slight nod, but remains focused on his task. Your teacher stops to observe the old gardener's work. Brother Chen has been training this particular tree for over 40 years, he explains quietly. Observe his relationship with it, not imposing his will, but deeply understanding the tree's nature and working with it. You watch as the old monk makes a tiny adjustment to a branch, securing it with almost invisible wire. His expression shows neither impatience nor hurry, just complete absorption in the present task. This is what the Buddha called right action. Your teacher continues, acting with full awareness, understanding causes and conditions, responding to what is with skillful intention rather than habitual reaction. The elderly monk finishes his adjustment and steps back, studying the tree from different angles before nodding with subtle satisfaction. He notices your interest and beckons you closer. Would you like to try? He asks, his voice surprisingly strong despite his age. He offers you a pair of small scissors for precise trimming. You hesitate, afraid of damaging something that has been cultivated for decades. I don't know how, you admit. The old monk smiles. No one does at first. We learn by doing, by making mistakes, by trying again. This too is the way of life. With trepidation, you accept the scissors. The bonsai master points to a small shoot growing from the trunk. This one needs to be removed. It disrupts the tree's balance. You carefully position the scissors around the tiny shoot, conscious of both monks watching you. With a small snip, the shoot is removed. The old monk nods approvingly. Good, you removed it cleanly without damaging the bark. The tree will heal well. He takes back the scissors and bows slightly before returning to his work. As you walk away, your teacher explains that small interaction contains much wisdom. Notice how you were afraid to act for fear of making a mistake. How many opportunities in life have you missed because of similar fear? You reflect on times you've hesitated, playing it safe rather than risking error. Also, notice how Brother Chen created a safe space for you to try, guiding without controlling, allowing you the dignity of your own experience while preventing serious harm. This is how wise teachers function. The path winds upward now, leading to a viewpoint higher on the mountain. The climb requires more effort, and conversation pauses as you both focus on the ascent. The physical exertion feels good after periods of sitting meditation. The body too teaches wisdom. The monk observes as you climb. Notice how it naturally finds efficient ways to move on this uneven path. It doesn't fight gravity or terrain, but works with these conditions. You realize you've been unconsciously adjusting your gait to the mountain path. Shorter steps on the steeper sections, shifting weight differently on loose versus solid ground. Your body intuitively understands how to respond to conditions. Our bodies often know what our thinking minds forget. The monk continues. They remember how to flow with conditions rather than fight against them. This natural wisdom is what Buddhist practice helps us recover in all aspects of life. You reach a flat area that offers a spectacular view of the valley below and mountains beyond. The afternoon sun casts long shadows across the landscape, emphasizing the contours of the land. From this height, patterns become visible that couldn't be seen from below. The way rivers follow natural depressions, how forests grow in certain patterns determined by soil and sun exposure. From here we gain perspective, the monk says as you both catch your breath. Similarly, Buddhist teachings offer a vantage point from which to observe life's patterns. We begin to recognize how certain actions consistently lead to certain results. You notice how the monastery itself is positioned to work with the mountains, natural features nestled into a protected area, oriented to capture sunlight situated near natural springs. Nothing fights against the conditions. Everything works harmoniously with what is. When you understand that everything happens for a reason arising from causes and conditions, you stop fighting reality, the monk explains. Instead, like the monastery architects, you learn to work skillfully with conditions as they are. A hawk circles overhead, riding thermal currents with minimal effort. It doesn't fight against the air but understands intuitively how to use these invisible patterns to soar. This is the freedom Buddhist practice offers. The monk says, watching the hawk, not freedom from conditions that's impossible, but freedom within conditions. The wisdom to navigate life's currents like that hawk with minimal struggle and maximal harmony. The sun begins its descent toward the western mountains, casting longer shadows across the landscape. Your teacher suggests heading back to the monastery for the evening meditation and meal. The downhill journey requires different muscles and different awareness than the climb up. Notice how descending presents its own challenges. The monk observes as you carefully navigate a steep section. In life too, success and achievement can sometimes be as challenging to navigate skillfully as difficulty and struggle. You consider this wisdom, how reaching goals or obtaining desires doesn't automatically bring lasting happiness. Sometimes, achieving what you thought you wanted creates unexpected new challenges. The Buddha taught that attachment to outcomes, even positive ones, creates suffering. The monk continues, when we cling to how we think things should be, rather than working skillfully with how they are, we create inner conflict. Back at the monastery, preparations for evening activities are underway. One monk strikes a large bell, its resonant tone signaling the transition from day's work to evening practice. Others light lanterns as daylight begins to fade. Before evening meditation, your teacher says, I want to address another aspect of why everything happens for a reason. This concerns how we respond to life's difficulties. He leads you to a small side garden where stone lanterns create pools of warm light in the gathering dusk. The atmosphere is peaceful, conducive to deeper conversation. Throughout life, everyone faces challenges that seem meaningless or unfair. He begins, illness, loss, betrayal, failure, experiences that can make us question whether life has purpose at all. You think about your own difficult experiences, times when suffering seemed random and cruel. Buddhist wisdom doesn't claim that suffering doesn't exist or doesn't matter. The monk clarifies, the Buddha's first noble truth acknowledges that suffering is real, but this teaching offers a perspective that transforms how we relate to difficulty. A cool evening breeze stirs the garden, carrying the scent of pine and distant rain. You draw your robe closer around your shoulders. When we understand that everything happens according to causes and conditions, he continues, we stop seeing difficulties as random punishments. Instead, we recognize them as the natural unfolding of complex processes, many influenced by our own past choices and current responses. This perspective shifts something fundamental from seeing yourself as a helpless victim of circumstance to recognizing your role in both creating and responding to conditions. More importantly, the monk adds, this understanding reveals that difficulties themselves have purpose. They are not meaningless, even when painful. They offer precisely the conditions needed for certain kinds of growth that couldn't happen otherwise. He reaches down to pick up a small stone from the garden path, smooth and rounded from years of exposure to elements. This stone was once rough and angular, he explains, placing it in your palm. Through friction with water and other stones, it gradually became smooth. What might have seemed like damage being tumbled and scraped actually revealed its inherent beauty. You feel the stone's perfect smoothness, understanding the metaphor. Perhaps life's friction serves a similar purpose, wearing away rough edges to reveal something more essential underneath. The most difficult experiences often create the conditions for our greatest growth. The monk continues, not because suffering itself is good, but because it challenges our habitual patterns and forces us to develop new capacities. You reflect on how your own challenging experiences, painful as they were, led to important insights and developments that might not have happened otherwise. When facing difficulty, he advises, try shifting from "why is this happening to me?" to "what might this be preparing me for? What qualities is this helping me develop?" This simple reframing transforms how you experience challenges. The garden lanterns glow more prominently as daylight continues to fade. Their warm light seems to represent the wisdom that can illuminate even the darkest experiences. Everything happens for a reason, the monk reiterates, not because of some predetermined plan, but because each experience arises from causes and conditions and simultaneously creates conditions for what comes next. Nothing is random. Nothing is wasted. Everything serves your development if you have eyes to see it. The monastery bell rings again, signaling the evening meditation session. You follow your teacher to the main hall where monks gather, taking their places on cushions arranged in neat rows. Candles and incense create an atmosphere conducive to inner exploration. For this evening practice, the monk explains quietly as you settle onto your cushion. We'll focus on cultivating equanimity, the quality of mind that remains balanced regardless of whether experiences are pleasant, unpleasant, or neutral. You adjust your posture, finding the now familiar balance between alertness and relaxation. The day's conversations and experiences have prepared you for deeper practice. Begin by bringing awareness to your breath, the monk instructs. Allow your breathing to find its natural rhythm without forcing or controlling. Simply observe the sensations of breathing with gentle attention. Around you, the other monks sit in perfect stillness, their collective presence creating a palpable field of concentrated awareness. You close your eyes, tuning into your breath as instructed. As your mind settles, the teacher continues in a soft voice that somehow carries throughout the hall. Expand your awareness to include sensations in your body. Notice areas of comfort or discomfort without trying to change them. Simply be aware. You scan your body, noticing various sensations: pressure where you contact the cushion, a slight ache in your lower back, warmth in your hands, coolness on your face. Each sensation simply is what it is, neither good nor bad in itself. Now notice your emotional state, the monk guides. Are you feeling calm, anxious, peaceful, impatient? Whatever emotions are present, allow them to be without judgment or resistance. You discover a mixture of feelings, interest in these new teachings, a lingering uneasiness about problems back home, appreciation for this unusual opportunity. The instruction to observe without judgment helps you see these emotions as passing experiences rather than defining realities. Expand your awareness further to include thoughts passing through your mind. The monk continues. Watch them arise and pass without getting caught in their stories. See them as clouds moving through the sky of your awareness. This practice reveals how busy your mind remains despite the peaceful environment. Plans, memories, questions, judgments a constant stream of mental activity. Yet with growing mindfulness, you can observe this stream without being swept away by it. Now the monk says, after several minutes of this observation, contemplate the nature of equanimity. When pleasant experiences arise, notice any tendency to grasp or cling to them. When unpleasant experiences arise, notice any tendency to resist or avoid them. When neutral experiences arise, notice any tendency toward boredom or seeking distraction. You observe these tendencies in your own mind, how certain sensations, emotions, or thoughts trigger automatic reactions of attraction or aversion. Equanimity is the balance that comes from understanding that all experiences, pleasant, unpleasant, or neutral, arise according to conditions and will pass away according to conditions. The monk explains, nothing needs to be grasped. Nothing needs to be pushed away. Everything can simply be known with clear awareness. This teaching connects directly to your earlier discussions about impermanence and cause and effect. If everything arises due to conditions and will pass away when conditions change, then clinging to pleasant experiences or fighting against unpleasant ones makes little sense. When we truly understand that everything happens for a reason, the monk continues, equanimity develops naturally. We stop taking experiences so personally. We recognize that pleasant and unpleasant alike arise from complex causes and conditions, not because we deserve reward or punishment. This perspective offers a profound freedom from the exhausting cycle of craving pleasant experiences and avoiding unpleasant ones. Perhaps peace comes not from controlling what happens, but from how you relate to whatever happens. As we sit in these final minutes, the monk instructs, practice meeting each arising experience, whether sensation, emotion, or thought, with this balanced awareness, not preferring, not rejecting, just knowing with clarity. The hall falls silent, except for the occasional sounds of breathing and distant temple bells. You practice as instructed, watching the parade of sensations, emotions, and thoughts with growing equanimity. When pleasant experiences arise, you observe without clinging. When unpleasant experiences arise, you observe without rejecting. When neutral experiences arise, you observe without seeking distraction. Something subtle shifts in your awareness, a spaciousness that wasn't there before. It's as if you're watching the weather of your inner experience without being stormed upon by it. This doesn't remove the experiences themselves, but transforms your relationship to them. After what might be minutes, or might be much longer, time seems fluid in deep meditation. A small bell rings 3 times, signaling the end of the formal practice. The monk's voice returns, gentle yet clear. As we conclude this evening meditation, recognize that the awareness you've cultivated is always available to you. In every circumstance, pleasant or difficult, you can access this equanimity, this understanding that all experiences arise from causes and conditions and will pass according to their nature. You open your eyes slowly, the meditation hall coming back into focus. Candles flicker, creating dancing shadows on the walls. Other monks begin to stir, some stretching subtly after the period of stillness. Carry this practice into your evening activities, the monk suggests. Notice how experiences continue to arise and pass according to conditions. Notice your habitual reactions of grasping and rejecting. See if you can maintain this balanced awareness through changing circumstances. After meditation, the monastery follows a simple evening routine. A light meal is served in the same mindful manner as lunch. Afterward, some monks gather in small groups for quiet conversation, while others retire to their quarters for study or rest. Your teacher invites you to join him for tea in a small room overlooking the monastery garden. Lanterns illuminate the pathways below, where a few monks still move about completing evening tasks. The tea is served simply, just hot water poured over green leaves in small, unadorned cups. No sugar, no milk, nothing to mask the natural flavor. The monk encourages you to approach this ordinary activity with the same mindfulness practiced in meditation. Receive the cup with both hands, he demonstrates. Feel its warmth. Notice the aroma rising with the steam. Observe the color of the liquid. Take a small sip, experiencing the taste fully before swallowing. You follow his guidance, surprised by how much sensory information is available in this simple act when given full attention. The tea's subtle bitterness, its grassy notes, the way the warmth spreads through your mouth and throat, experience is usually missed when drinking automatically. Most people move through life missing its richness, the monk observes. They eat without tasting, look without seeing, listen without hearing. Their minds are always elsewhere, reviewing the past or anticipating the future. They miss the only moment that truly exists. Now you consider how often you've been physically present but mentally absent in your own life, missing countless moments because your attention was scattered. This mindfulness practice, he continues, is essential to understanding why everything happens for a reason. When we're not present, we miss the subtle connections between causes and effects. We plant seeds without awareness, then are surprised by what grows. The simple room illuminated by a single lantern creates an atmosphere of intimacy conducive to deeper conversation. Outside, night has fully descended. Stars appear in the clear mountain sky, visible through the open window. Before you rest tonight, the monk says, I want to address a common misunderstanding about Buddhist teachings on cause and effect. He takes another sip of tea, giving you time to settle into this new topic. Many people, upon hearing that everything happens for a reason, according to karma, conclude that victims of misfortune must have done something to deserve their suffering. This is a grave misunderstanding that creates additional harm. His eyes meet yours with particular intensity. This point clearly matters to him deeply. The law of karma is not about deserving or not deserving. He clarifies, it's about understanding how causes lead to effects through natural processes. A child born into poverty or someone suffering from illness hasn't done anything to deserve this situation in a moral sense. You feel relief at this clarification, having wondered about this troubling implication. These conditions arise from countless causes stretching back through time, most beyond any individual's control or choice. Understanding karma should lead to greater compassion for those facing difficulty, not judgment or dismissal of their suffering. The monk pours a little more tea into your cup. The simple gesture feels like a metaphor for how one action naturally flows into another. True understanding of cause and effect recognizes our profound interconnection. He continues, no one exists in isolation. Your actions affect others, their actions affect you. We are all contributing to the conditions each person experiences. This perspective shifts the focus from individual blame to collective responsibility, recognizing how social systems, cultural patterns, and shared environments shape individual experiences. When we see someone suffering, the monk says the appropriate response is not they must have created this karma, but rather, how can I contribute to more positive conditions for this person? Now you think about people in your own life facing challenges, how this understanding might transform your response from judgment to compassionate action. This teaching that everything happens for a reason is not meant to explain away suffering or justify injustice. The monk emphasizes It's meant to empower us to create more skillful causes for everyone's benefit. The tea has cooled now, revealing different subtle flavors than when hot. Even this simple experience demonstrates impermanence and changing conditions. As you integrate these teachings, the monk advises, use them to increase compassion, not judgment. Use them to take greater responsibility for your choices, not to dismiss the struggles of others. Use them to create positive conditions moving forward, not to dwell on regrets about the past. Outside, the monastery is growing quieter as monks complete evening routines and prepare for rest. The rhythmic sound of a wooden fish being struck signals the final activities of the day. Tomorrow, we will explore more aspects of these teachings, the monk says, finishing his tea. For now, rest and allow what we've discussed to settle into your understanding. He leads you back to the simple guest quarters where a sleeping mat has been prepared. The room is austere but comfortable, containing only what is necessary. The mat, a small table with a candle, a cushion for sitting, a picture of water with a cup. Before sleeping, the monk suggests, practice a brief reflection on your day. Review significant moments without judgment, simply noticing patterns of cause and effect in your experiences and responses. This instruction reminds you of the evening meditation practice, observing without grasping or rejecting, simply knowing with clarity. Also set an intention for how you wish to meet tomorrow. He adds, not rigid expectations about what should happen, but an aspiration for how you will respond to whatever conditions arise. The monk lights the candle on your table, creating a small circle of warm light in the simple room. Rest well, he says with a gentle bow. Remember, everything that happens, even in dreams, arises from causes and conditions and offers teaching if we have eyes to see it. With these words, he leaves you to your evening contemplation. You sit for a time on the cushion following his suggestion to review the day's experiences and teachings. So much has been shared in this single day. Impermanence, karma, mindfulness, equanimity, all aspects of the central understanding that everything happens for a reason according to natural laws of cause and effect. The teachings feel both profoundly simple and endlessly deep. You notice how your mind tries to grasp these concepts, to solidify them into fixed views. Even this grasping is an instructive demonstration of what the Buddha identified as the cause of suffering. The mind's tendency to cling to ideas, experiences, and outcomes rather than flowing with the natural unfolding of conditions. As the candle burns lower, you prepare for sleep, arranging yourself comfortably on the simple mat. Though physically harder than your bed at home, there's something satisfying about its firm support. Another small lesson in how expectations about comfort can be adjusted with awareness. Lying in darkness. Now you notice how the mind continues its activities even as the body relaxes towards sleep. Thoughts arise about the day's experiences. Questions form about tomorrow. Memories surface from home. Plans take shape for applying these teachings in daily life. Rather than getting caught in this mental activity, you remember the instruction to observe with equanimity. Each thought is just another passing condition arising according to causes, existing temporarily, then dissolving to make way for the next experience. As your awareness begins to shift towards sleep, the boundary between conscious thought and dreaming grows more permeable. In this liminal space, the day's teachings continue to work within you, rearranging your understanding beyond conscious effort. Your last coherent thought before drifting into sleep is a recognition that everything, absolutely everything, happens for a reason. Not by chance, not by cruel fate, but as part of an intelligent unfolding that invites you to grow in wisdom and compassion with each experience. Sleep comes easily, deeper, and more peaceful than usual. For the first time in longer than you can remember, you're not fighting against reality, but learning to flow with it. Morning arrives with the gentle sound of temple bells and the first light of dawn filtering through paper windows. For a moment upon waking, you're disoriented. The unfamiliar room, the firm sleeping mat, the quality of light different from home, then memory returns. You're in a mountain monastery, learning ancient wisdom about why everything happens for a reason. You sit up, taking the monk's advice to begin the day mindfully. 3 conscious breaths ground you in the present moment. You set an intention to meet whatever the day brings with openness and awareness rather than expectation or resistance. A soft knock at your door announces a young monk who silently presents a basin of warm water for washing. The simple courtesy feels deeply considerate after the cool mountain night. You wash your face and hands, giving full attention to these ordinary activities as practice in mindfulness. Outside your quarters, the monastery is already active. Monks move purposefully about their morning duties, sweeping pathways, tending gardens, preparing the morning meal. There's an atmosphere of collective harmony, each person contributing to the whole without apparent ego or conflict. Your teacher from yesterday appears, greeting you with a small bow. "Did you rest well?" he asks. "Very well," you respond, surprised to realize it's true. Despite the strange surroundings and simple accommodations, you feel remarkably rested. "Good." The quiet mind sleeps deeply. He observes. Today, we will continue exploring why everything happens for a reason, focusing on how this understanding transforms our response to life's more challenging aspects. The morning follows the monastery's established rhythm. Meditation, a simple breakfast eaten mindfully, brief periods of work contributing to the community. These activities aren't interruptions to the teaching, but integral parts of it. Opportunities to practice presence and mindfulness in ordinary actions. By mid-morning, you join your teacher in the same garden where you began yesterday's exploration. The day is clear and cool, the rising sun warming the stone bench where you sit. Yesterday we discussed how everything arises from causes and conditions. The monk begins. Today I want to explore how this understanding helps us work with one of life's greatest challenges, suffering. A butterfly passes between you, its delicate wings catching the sunlight. Its brief visitation seems to perfectly illustrate the transient nature of all phenomena. The Buddha's central teaching addressed suffering directly. The monk continues. He didn't promise to eliminate life's difficulties, but he offered a path to transform our relationship with them. This path begins with understanding why suffering occurs. You think about your own experiences of suffering, from minor irritations to profound losses, and the various ways you've tried to escape or overcome them, often without lasting success. Most people respond to suffering in one of 3 ways, the monk explains. They try to escape it through distraction or denial. They fight against it, creating additional suffering through resistance. Or they resign themselves to it, falling into helplessness or despair. These patterns sound familiar. You've experienced all 3 at different times. Buddhist wisdom offers a 4th way. He continues, we learn to meet suffering with clear awareness, understanding its causes and conditions, responding with wisdom rather than reaction. A memory surfaces, a painful relationship breakup you experienced years ago. You recall cycling through exactly these responses, trying to numb the pain through distractions, fighting against reality by attempting to win the person back, eventually sinking into temporary despair when these efforts failed. Consider a difficult experience from your own life, the monk suggests, seemingly reading your thoughts again. Notice how suffering arose not just from the situation itself, but from how you related to it. You reflect on that relationship ending. The initial event was painful, certainly, but you can now see how much additional suffering came from your resistance, demanding reality be different than it was, taking the situation personally as if the universe were punishing you specifically, creating elaborate stories about what the experience meant about your worth or future. When we understand that everything happens for a reason according to causes and conditions, the monk explains, we stop taking difficulties so personally. We recognize that painful situations arise not to punish us, but as the natural unfolding of complex processes, many beyond anyone's conscious control. Everything, absolutely everything, happens for specific reasons according to conditions. Suffering arises primarily from resistance to reality as it is, not from circumstances themselves. Understanding dependent origination creates freedom to work skillfully with conditions rather than struggle against them. This understanding naturally cultivates compassion by recognizing how all beings' actions arise from their conditioning. The path involves both accepting what cannot be changed and creating beneficial conditions for what can be transformed. Your transportation arrives at your destination. Stepping back into familiar territory, your home, your neighborhood, you notice how differently you perceive these once ordinary surroundings, not dramatically altered, but viewed with fresher awareness of how each element exists through specific conditions rather than independent inherent existence. Returning to your living space, you're struck by how objects previously taken for granted as fixed entities now appear more clearly as processes. Each possession representing countless conditions coming together temporarily. From raw materials to manufacturing, from economic systems to personal preferences that brought them into your sphere. You place the simple wooden bracelet from the monastery on a small shelf where you'll see it daily, a physical reminder of intangible wisdom. Then you take 3 conscious breaths, acknowledging this transition back to ordinary life while carrying extraordinary understanding. This return doesn't represent an ending, but a beginning, the start of integrating these teachings into daily existence. The real practice happens not in perfect monastery conditions, but amid life's complex, messy, constantly changing circumstances. Everything happens for a reason according to conditions. This understanding, once glimpsed, remains available in each moment, a compass for navigating life with greater wisdom, less unnecessary suffering, and more compassionate presence. 3 months have passed since your monastery stay. Ordinary life has resumed its rhythm, yet subtle shifts in perspective persist. Moments of clarity amid routine activities, instances of equanimity during challenges, expanding capacity to see situations through the lens of dependent origination. You're washing dishes one evening when awareness suddenly sharpens. The simple activity, warm water, soap, repetitive movement becomes extraordinarily vivid. You notice how each element exists through specific conditions. Water heated by systems depending on infrastructure and energy sources. Dishes dirtied through eating food itself, dependent on countless agricultural and distribution factors. Your very presence at the sink resulting from myriad decisions and circumstances stretching back through time. This ordinary moment transforms into direct experience of the teaching. Everything happens for a reason, according to conditions. Not intellectual understanding, but immediate recognition penetrating every aspect of sensory experience. The wooden bracelet from the monastery rests on your wrist, though in this moment, you don't need its reminder. Later that week, an unexpected difficulty arises at work. A project fails despite careful planning, creating potential professional consequences. Initial reactions appear automatically: frustration, worry, self-criticism, blame. Yet alongside these responses, new awareness emerges, recalling your teacher's guidance. What conditions led to this situation? You investigate with curiosity rather than judgment, recognizing factors beyond anyone's complete control or foresight. What would happen if you resist this reality? You notice how fighting against what has already occurred creates additional suffering beyond the natural disappointment of unmet expectations. What response would create more positive conditions moving forward? Rather than dwelling in reactivity, you focus attention on skillful next steps given current circumstances. This approach doesn't magically solve the problem, but transforms your relationship with it, creating space for wise response rather than mere reaction, recognizing the situation's conditioned nature rather than taking it personally as failure or punishment. Walking in a local park the following weekend, you observe nature's perfect demonstration of the teaching. Trees grow according to available light, soil, and moisture. Birds build nests using materials at hand. Weather patterns form through complex atmospheric conditions. Nothing happens randomly. Nothing exists independently. Everything manifests through causes and conditions working together. You recall your monastery teacher explaining how enlightenment isn't some distant exotic state, but clear recognition of reality as it actually is, free from the distortions of ignorance, attachment, and aversion. These moments of clear seeing, however brief, offer glimpses of that realization. Sitting on a park bench, you close your eyes briefly, establishing awareness of breathing, the simple practice recommended for reconnecting with immediate experience when overwhelmed by complexity. 3 conscious breaths. Center attention in present reality rather than conceptual thinking about reality. Opening your eyes, the world appears simultaneously ordinary and extraordinary, familiar physical forms, recognized as temporary manifestations of ongoing processes. Solid seeming objects understood as events unfolding according to conditions. This perception brings unexpected ease, less need to control, judge, or fix what arises when its conditioned nature is clearly seen. That evening, while preparing for sleep, you reflect on how understanding that everything happens for a reason continues integrating into daily experience. Progress doesn't follow a straight line. Some days bring clear insight, others revert to habitual reactivity. Yet even forgetting becomes opportunity for practice when recognized with compassion rather than self-criticism. As sleep approaches, you remember the monastery and feel gratitude for teachings that continue revealing their wisdom through direct application. The understanding that everything happens for specific reasons according to conditions isn't abstract philosophy, but practical guidance for navigating existence with greater wisdom and less unnecessary suffering. Sleep comes easily, your breath gradually slowing. Even this transition from wakefulness to sleep happens according to specific conditions. Physical fatigue, quieting sensory input, slowing thought patterns, appropriate environment. Nothing random, nothing separate, everything unfolding in perfect accordance with causes and conditions. As we conclude this immersive exploration of Buddhist wisdom, consider how these teachings might illuminate your own experience. The understanding that everything happens for a reason, according to conditions, doesn't require belief or faith, only careful observation of life as it actually unfolds moment by moment. This wisdom tradition offers not escape from reality, but clearer engagement with it, recognizing how suffering arises from resistance to what is, how freedom emerges from working skillfully with conditions rather than fighting against them, how compassion naturally develops when we understand the conditioned nature of all behavior, including our own. Whether you're listening to these teachings while falling asleep or during quieter waking hours, Allow this understanding to permeate your awareness. Notice how everything happening right now, external sounds, bodily sensations, arising thoughts, emotional tones, exists through specific conditions, coming together in this unrepeatable moment. The path isn't about achieving some perfect future state, but recognizing what's already true about existence. Everything happens for a reason according to conditions. This simple fact, when deeply understood, transforms how we meet each experience with less resistance, more wisdom, greater compassion, and the profound peace that comes from aligning with, rather than fighting against reality. May these teachings serve your journey toward greater understanding and freedom from unnecessary suffering. May you recognize that everything, absolutely everything, happens for specific reasons according to conditions. And may this recognition bring increasing wisdom to how you navigate this precious human life. Rest now in this understanding, letting it continue working within you, even as conscious awareness transitions towards sleep. Everything happens for a reason. Everything serves your awakening when met with awareness. Everything offers wisdom when approached with clear seeing. Sleep well, resting in the natural unfolding of conditions. Your consciousness and body follow ancient rhythms of rest and renewal, participating in the vast interdependent web of existence. Everything happens for a reason, according to conditions. This understanding remains available whether awake or asleep, offering its transformative wisdom to all aspects of your experience.